Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Rose.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for the first 3 episodes of Paradise Season 2, which, yes, is a lot. We have talked about this. I don't know why Hulu decides that they don't want to have, I don't know, individual discussions on every single one of these. Instead, you're throwing all 3 of them at once.
Especially for these three particular episodes, because they almost all feel like they are completely different shows. I mean, we had this first episode, very, very good, about new characters that we don't really know. It's not really connected to a lot of anything else yet. We get into episode 2. We're looking here at Xavier and the plane. He's getting some backstory of him and his wife. And then we get into episode 3, and it's everything that's still going on in the bunker. It did not feel very fluid, like it was connected together in a way that watching these episodes back to back to back, it was odd. I'm not saying it's bad. I like Paradise a lot. This is a show we really enjoyed covering the first season, but these 3 episodes, because they were in such different feels, it wasn't quite like season 1 where they dropped all 3, bam, bam, bam. And it was all in the bunker and we're all still in the same space. It was odd.
Yeah, I didn't need it this way. And I think especially because, like Jess said, these are all individual stories. And I think they
Yeah.
are all of individual quality levels in a way.
Yeah.
I think episode 1 is by far the strongest.
Yes.
Episode 2, we dip. I think episode 3 is good. But if there is a big picture discussion coming out of these 3 episodes, it unfortunately is also the thing that I'm the most worried about. And it is this big Alex, what's going on here mystery.
Yo, we got to talk about time travel. I was not expecting to talk about this on this show. I mean, this is a bit of an out there kind of show. We do have this, billionaires build this bunker underground, end of the world. There's lots of fantastical stuff going on already. So when we're kind of now also dipping a toe possibly into time travel, I'm starting to feel like it's a bit much. You want me to suspend some disbelief? I have no problem doing that. I am a Pisces, very creative mind. However, it's starting to feel like too many things are happening along the lines of like American Horror Story, the second season, Asylum, where we started out and I was like, oh man, this is so good. It's so good. I love it. I'm enjoying it. Everything's great. And then they started adding aliens and all kinds of other things that I will not spoil, where I was just like, and we need a dance number. I was kind of waiting here for Sterling to just bust out into dance. There's too many things that are going on this season.
I was about to be like, yeah, and I'm gonna spoil that there's a song and dance number with Jessica Lange. It was a lot that season. It's a lot this season. And I mean, I will say this. I'm not just directly opposed to time travel. I am a Whovian. I have watched Doctor Who for decades on end. I'm also not even opposed to the idea of some random supernatural twist in the middle of a show. I am looking at a certain Apple TV series starring Colin Farrell, which did that very, very effectively.
Oh, so effective. So good.
I love that so much, but I feel like here they already did pick a lane when it was, okay,
Yes.
we're going to be sort of this after the end of the world, what's going to happen thriller with mystery components.
Yeah.
And now you're making us possibly buy into this other thing. But that's the operative word that we're going to get into a lot in this review is possibly, whether or not
Yes.
we are fully going down the road of time travel. We have a lot more to say there. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We will be here throughout Paradise Season 2, breaking things down, sharing some theories of what's going on in this bunker, whatever else Sinatra is planning. We are also in the midst of covering here The Pit Season 2 at the channel. The Testaments is coming on Hulu. And this weekend, guys, guess what? It's Jess's birthday.
It is my birthday. I'm going to be 51 years old. And if you want to give
Yay.
me just a little birthday gift, head over to our Instagram, which is Matt and Just TV, and just follow us over there. And you can check out some of the pictures from this weekend. I'm going to be going to Bunnyhenge. I'm going to have a cherry pie. There's all kinds of fun stuff.
Thank you guys so much for following us on Instagram.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. Okay, I am ready to stand on top of Mount Denial here.
Okay.
am fully in denial. They're not actually going to do time travel here, guys. It's not happening.
Okay, let's talk about how we kind of got here. We had the last episode, episode 3, is really focused on Sinatra, a little bit of before everything happened, where she's like, you know what? I got endless money. I can build this bunker. What do I need? What do I need to make it so that we can kind of rebuild the world? And this guy's like, time. That's the only thing, and you can't buy it. You can buy anything you want, but you cannot buy time. And she's like, bet. So she's going after somebody who possibly might be able to manipulate time, maybe. I don't know. It's all just, I think she thinks maybe she's got a possibility at it, but do I think she's actually going to be able to do it? I just don't. And I think the reason I don't is because I don't want it to actually come out. It's, getting into things that just don't feel very real. And I know that that's going to sound strange considering this is a show about an underground bunker in the end of the world.
Yeah.
But these are things that feel like they could happen. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying time travel can't happen, but I feel like it probably isn't happening. And I feel like in this show, it's a bit much.
I just don't think we need it. And I think it really comes down to everything season 1 did great, which was mystery, thriller aspects, like incredibly memorable characters.
Such a good murder mystery.
Yeah.
Yo.
Like there are sci-fi components, but I always kind of consider Paradise to be light sci-fi, which is not super intimidating. They're not trying to throw like a million scientific concepts, because the moment we get into time travel, we start getting into time loops. What's happening to this character at this point? Where do they end up becoming? Does the past end up changing the future? And then that just gets really, really fundamentally complicated. Now, I think creator Dan Fogelman, who's no stranger to big picture ideas, or definitely moving around in the timeline for everyone who watched This Is Us.
He loves to move around in timelines.
I think he's just playing at a very popular subject these days, which is that billionaires love to play God. And it is no surprise that Sinatra, who's been able to do some really incredible things, actually feels like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to be able to pay this off, rather than actually doing what I feel is the hard thing, and that is taking this money, waiting things out, using this to try to repopulate society on the outside world. She has this big brain strategy of, oh, you know what I'm just going to do instead? I'm going to milk all these resources. I'm going to go back to the past, and everything is magically better.
And if for whatever reason this guy's telling the truth, where he's like, listen, people are going to think, it's going to be this big ash cloud for a couple of years. And so far, all of that seems true from episode 1. And then, the skies will clear and people will think everything is fine. And then the worst is going to come out, where it's going to heat up and all the oceans are going to evaporate. And it's just going to be the real end of everything. They are in an underground bunker. And while it seems that they might have enough time there for 30 years, I think they said 30, 40 years, something like that. That is enough time to be able to figure things out to maybe prolong that. If Earth is just not going to be habitable anymore, then find a way to make the bunker actually work and repopulate underground.
There are just still a lot of other directions the show could have gone with other than this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible that they're going in this direction. When we look at episode 2 and we've got, Xavier flying and he's flying through all these different clouds or whatever, all of a sudden he gets this really bad headache and I was like, what's happening here? Oh no. And then when we got into this third episode, I was like, was he like going through a time riff or something? Like, I'm not sure what's going on. It is Dan Fogelman, so, it's possible. He does love to play with time.
Listen, Dan, I've already had enough of planes moving around through time in weird ways. I watched Manifest for many seasons. I do not
Lost. We don't need a repeat.
We don't need a repeat. And I think they're clearly trying to make us think that something could be possible. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the theoretical. I just don't want time travel to overshadow all the real stuff that's going on right now with this show, including how are people living on the outside? Because really, if Sinatra just hops in a time machine and fixes all of this, like that does make everything with Xavier and Annie, these new characters, it's all just kind of null and void. And so it's just these stories don't even matter at all. And we're wasting a full episode of an 8 episode season on it.
I love Annie and Link so much. I That is something that Dan does so well,
Mhm.
or these emotional stories where you become so invested in people very quickly. He really lets it breathe. I mean, I didn't know where this episode was going, where we had, you know, everything that actually started with the end of the world. Annie is in Graceland and she's there for a long time, and then enroll these men. I'm like, oh, here we go. Is this going to be like Negan from The Walking Dead
Yeah.
rolling in and taking supplies? And it turns out that that's not the case. That, these guys are on a mission to kill Alex, but they're not on a mission to kill Annie. And it feels like they're really just trying to have a nice time with her, thanking her for being able to stay in her space and everything with this love story, her ending up pregnant. It was just such a beautiful way to start off this season that by the time we got to the second episode with Xavier, it was so weird to feel this, but I didn't want to leave that timeline.
And it's understandable. They just spent a really good time giving us an opportunity to know Annie, know where she came from. I mean, Shailene Woodley's a pretty big name for this show. She's incredible in this first episode. And I will even tip the cap to Elvis's estate or whoever else is owning Graceland at this point for really being okay
It was cool.
to have like this iconic property. And I've been to Graceland before, but I was very, very young. You cannot ask me whether or not if I knew any of this stuff on the episode because I did not. But it felt really authentic. And I think it's cool that something like this was allowed to be used for a show that can be very, very dark and sad. It gave this strange authenticity to this love story that I was really rooting for. I was super invested in. I mean, it doesn't hurt that the guy's name is Link, and I've been playing The Legend of Zelda since like 1992. So, of course, I'm happy about that.
I really like that they did have this focus on Annie and what seems to be her struggle with anxiety. That we saw that her mother was going through this as well. She wasn't able to leave the house in her later years, near the end of her life. That her daughter was going to Graceland and bringing back tour information, what she saw and what changed and all that, because she was unable to leave. And now we have Annie, who's been at Graceland for a few years. So by the time Link shows up and he's like, please, please come with me. Like, I'll do anything to have you come with me. And she just can't even answer. She can't leave. She's just frozen in this place. I just feel like it's so relatable, especially after everything that happened, a few years ago where everybody was at home, and it really did change a lot of people's thinking about going out and making people very anxious about that stuff. So to see that happen and kind of play out in that very real way, very well done.
I was honestly surprised that they went outside at all. Like I know we had the sequences where Annie's in front of the telescope looking out, and I just was seeing how bundled up everybody was. I would be so afraid of even just stepping out in the cold. It seemed really, really cold. You're gonna bring some of that cold air back inside.
Okay, let's talk about that, because she was like, yeah, I'm not making a fire because I didn't want anyone to know that I'm there. It sounds like the guys were saying that they were going around kind of shutting down plants to make
Mm.
sure that they didn't explode or whatever. I'm like, how's she keeping warm? How is she able to keep water flowing? How is the water clean? Is she able to use the stove at all if there's no electricity? There just felt like things that needed to be answered, because when it all first happened, she like brought in a couple cases of water. I'm like, girl, that is not lasting for 2 years. So like, how are you drinking?
It's a very good question. And that's the funny thing about this show. They're asking us to maybe believe in time travel, and yet at the same time, we're struggling to believe the drinking water situation here.
Yes.
And I'm struggling to believe the candle situation here because I will give a touch of
That's
relatability
like
here.
an eternal wick, man.
Like, I have never successfully lit more than 4 candles at a single time. And this is always my favorite thing with every single show under the sun. I will watch The Bachelor, and the leading person will be surrounded by 30 candles at a rose ceremony. I'm just like, how long did it take the crew to light all of those? Because it ain't one person. That would take like an hour and a half.
Yeah, even if you have those like big awesome candles from Bed Bath and Beyond, they're supposed to be like 15 hours or whatever. That is not 2 years worth of candle wicks.
Yeah.
There, I think the thing that this show is really struggling with in that way, and why for me time travel is too far out there, is that they really are trying to make this feel like this is rooted in reality,
Mhm.
and that we need to have our feet on the ground with the bunker, with the end of the world, and with how Annie has been able to survive for these years with a few, crates of bottled water and no heat, and won't turn on anything, and no electricity. I don't understand how she's been able to survive this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be going outside either if you haven't had heat for 2 years.
No, it just seems way, way too cold. But I think this episode, it succeeds in giving us a really good love story, but it also succeeds in introducing this big question of who is Alex that we then circle back
Yes.
around to at the end of episode 3. Now, at this point, what we know is actually pretty small. It seems like Alex is
Yeah.
referred to at one point as a she. And so I think it's fair to sit here and be like, okay, well, this is a person, but hold up, everybody. I'm going to go a little bit crazy, put on your tinfoil hats
All
here.
right.
We covered the blacklist here on the channel.
We sure
For
did.
many, many years, we all got collectively angry about many twists on that show, but
Yeah.
that show was very famous for having characters who were actually named after places. Like a prominent adversary was named Berlin. And because of this logic, it's still possible to me that Alex is actually just a construct. Is it some sort of, I don't know. I don't want to say android because then it sounds like we're getting into the Terminator or something like that. But is it something that's not really human and Alex is just a code word? But then why are you saying that Alex is a she? Then is it one of these situations where you're like tapping the side of your boat and being like, well, this old girl still goes really fast in the ocean? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and then you've got Link and this group who's like, hey, we got to get going because we're going off to kill Alex. So I
Yep.
was just like, okay, so then this is a person, or is it like a computer and you're going to kill it all? Like, I don't know what is going on. I think Alex is a person. It feels like probably connected to that whole a story of the guy with his wife and the technology. We saw Billy again, which
Mhm.
was really cool to see him
Yeah.
again. I really like that actor, but she's desperately trying to buy this quantum technology, whatever. This guy is like, nope, 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 nope.
Mhm.
Sends in Billy to be like, either you're gonna sign this or you're gonna be dead. And he's like, all right, well then I guess I'd be dead. But he had this protege who was this guy who seemed to come in. Maybe the Alex is somebody that this person knows, and this is sort of the last surviving person that has any knowledge of anything that's going on.
Well, and that gets to a big question that I have, which is what is sort of the chain here with Alex? Because if Alex is a person or if Alex is a machine, it really doesn't matter. Like, what sort of failsafe do you have in the event that this person or this object is not working anymore? Because it seems like Sinatra's basically willing to throw almost all of the resources of this bunker into this project. So if like something goes wrong, with one person or this larger idea, then where do you go from here? That's why it's such a interesting but risky proposition that she's got this thing going on that seemingly no one in any of the inner circle we have met so far actually has any knowledge of.
No, like nobody except Carmen, who seems to be like her housekeeper and
Yeah.
confidant, I guess, who is making sure that everything is okay with Alex. And it is very, the whole thing is just such shrouded in mystery of like, yeah, is this a person? Is this a machine? Is this multiple people? Like, I don't know at this point. You guys let us know in the comments. Do you think that Alex is actually a person?
Okay, here is where I think I'm starting to land on what's bothering me the most about this time travel thing. I think it's that even to you, let's use the sugar example for a moment here. And, not to spoil every single part of that show, but I feel like after
It's
that,
back in June, guys. It's back in June, Apple TV. If you haven't seen it, it's so good.
it's really, really good. But once you get to the central twist in sugar, I think you can go back through the first part of that season and there are little clues as to what's really going on here. It
They
kind
gave
of
you enough.
I don't feel like we ever had anything about this in season one.
No, I don't think so.
I know that Fogelman has said there's like a 3-season plan for this, and it was all kind of plotted out from the start, but it felt like he woke up from a deep sleep after season one came out and was like, I want time travel now, and it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, time travel is the new zombies, is the new vampires. You know, it
Mhm.
seems like every whatever 5-10 years we get the new thing, and time travel is definitely it right now.
It seems to be, but whatever this is, like, it's clearly serious enough that Sinatra's willing to do basically whatever it takes to ensure that it stays covered up here.
Absolutely, including having Jane kill the new president. I mean, presidents, they ain't doing that well in this world.
I will say this. I'm not too sad this guy is gone because this
No
guy sucked. Like,
fight.
he did not bring anything to the table. He was honestly a little bit too over the top with the whole I'm in charge here. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. Let's
Yeah,
make
everybody's going to jail.
endless summer for 3 months. It just felt like he had no real ideas. He had no real platform. I think the problem here, he's following up Cal. Cal is an awesome character.
Oh, listen, that whole seasons thing where he's like, you know what they're all missing? Seasons. I'm like, have you not been to California? It is just summer here all the time. Even when it's cold, it's still not cold. Like, I'm from Canada. It is cold in Canada. I mean, I've kind of acclimatized now here where I'm like, oh man, it's 18 degrees Celsius out. It is so cold. Let me get my sweater, right? But it is, seasons are not really a thing out here. We pretend that they are, but
Mhm.
they're not. So I'm kind of like, what are you talking about? Not everybody has seasons.
No, this guy just felt like this strange figurehead who was propped up to this position that he didn't really belong in. And I mean, we can
No.
all sit around and argue about whether or not Cal belonged in it either. I mean, there was a lot of things working behind the scenes with that all the way back in season one. But I think the takeaway here, mostly because there's no point in talking that much about this president because nobody liked him, it's that how loyal Jane seems to be to this cause that
Yes.
through the entirety of the episode, like she is slowly working to infiltrate this inner circle, doing whatever she can so that she can be this person who is on this solo jog with the president so that nobody is ever going to figure anything out.
Oh,
I know.
Robinson. Hi, Bob. You are in trouble, my girl. My goodness, you've been set up now for the murder of this president. I feel so bad.
I feel really bad. I
I
like,
like this character so much.
she's a really good character.
Very smart.
I do think she's going to end up getting out of this. I believe fully, Dan, for all these dark things you're throwing at us, you are not a cynic. You made Gallivant, which is like the silliest show of all time. So I just think there's going to be a way for her to get past this, but I think it's going to come down to her working with some other people and possibly getting some real information about what Sinatra is doing and then actually having to make some decisions where does she understand why they're doing what they're doing or does she not?
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a struggle with this season being broken up into the outside world and the bunker world so fast. I mean, yeah, it seems like it's a smaller plan, only 3 seasons, but having the full season, season one, all in the bunker, like season one of Silo, we're all in the silo, and
Yeah.
you are like deep in this world. I totally am buying into this. The minute that you start to get into the outside world and bringing these in, I'm interested in what is still going on in the bunker with the people that, I really care about. It's so weird that we are so far into this video here
Yeah.
talking about the show and we have barely talked about Xavier out looking for his wife, being found by the Lost Boys, getting robbed, and then being found by Annie. I'm just like, this episode, I need Xavier to just be back at the bunker, honestly.
Yeah, that's where he shines. That's where his kids are. That's where the entire life he
Yeah.
built was. And I more than understand that he's going to be driven by this desire to try to see Terry again. Like, I very much get that. And I mean, Sterling's a very heartfelt actor. Like, you get a sense
Mhm.
of that desperation. But I do think it doesn't help the disjointedness of this season that we are kind of bouncing all over the place. It would be one thing if this was a This Is Us season where they had like 15 to 18 episodes a lot of the time. And here, what do we have? 8 episodes. It's not a lot of
Yeah.
time in order to work with all of this. And like that brings me to the part of this video that really, really pains me, and that is the flashbacks to Xavier and Terry and how they met and the time they spent together, because I do think it was very well written. I think it was
Yeah.
sweet. The performances were really, really good. But I also can't help myself but admit I already knew that they really loved each other. I already knew that Xavier was going to do everything he could for her. So while it gave me context, this show doesn't have a lot of time to deliver answers. And so I do kind of wonder, was that the best use of the show's time in episode 2 to give us all of that? And then also try to give us these lost boys who were interesting, I guess, but
No.
it didn't hit as hard as I wanted.
It didn't hit at all for me. I didn't really care what was going on with the Lost Boys. I did really like the stuff with his wife and the flashbacks to really see that connection, but I feel the same.
Mhm.
I already know how much he loves his wife and what the connection is. He's like flying out of safety into the unknown just for the chance that she might be out there. I feel like that love story was already coming out of Xavier in a way that I didn't necessarily need to see it. It was good TV.
Mhm.
I enjoy a good love story. I love love, but this second episode was not it for me. Everything that was going on with these Lost Boys, and I don't know, it just didn't work out. It really pains me to say that.
I think another problem I was having personally was just some of the way that the end of episode 1 was filmed. It kind of felt, at least to me in that very moment, that Annie was walking up on Xavier right as he was getting out of the plane, and that was sort of it. And so I found
Mhm.
myself personally confused through a lot of episode 2, thinking, oh, this isn't really how this happened. Oh, here are these Lost Boys. When are we getting back to this reunion with Annie? And because once we did meet them, I knew that that reunion was coming. I was really just feeling, okay, can we get to this reunion with Annie? Because I'm invested in her. I'm invested in Xavier. I want to see where the two of them end up going. And now we have this real like push and pull when it comes to that.
Very big push and pull. I mean, we've got Xavier who wants to go one way to go find his wife. And then we've got Annie at this point who is very pregnant, is like, nope, we are going to this bunker. I need to find Link.
I'm really torn on this. Like, I feel like Xavier's gonna be like, no, I've come all this way in order to see Terry, but at the same
He's
time,
handcuffed to a couch. I don't know what he's able to do at this point.
it's also just a lot harder to say no that defiantly to somebody who looks like they're about to have a baby and she's trying to find the baby's father. Like, it does throw this other wrinkle in there where 99% of the time I would be on Xavier's side, but in this particular situation, I don't really know that I am.
Yeah, that's what's so weird about this season for me, because episode 1 was so good and I am
Mhm.
so invested in Annie and Link, and now this baby. It is the thing I am the most invested in. So I'm less invested, even though they gave us this beautiful love story of Xavier and his wife. I'm invested in this other love story right now, and I want to see these two brought back together. And then the other selfish part of me wants Xavier back at the bunker. Like, I want to see him get in there and, try to help Robinson out of what's going on, stop Sinatra and Jane, who's just unhinged.
One last question that I do have coming out of episode 3 is I was pretty surprised that at least it seems like Dr. Tarabi got one over on Sinatra and has found a way to bug her place. I'm just sitting back.
Maybe there's
What
a part of me that was wondering if Sinatra knows that that's what's going on and is just feeding her kind of nothing.
I hope that's the case, because otherwise you're telling me that Sinatra, who has like some secret project going on in this bunker at the same time as everything else, is going to be duped by somebody
Yeah.
like Tarabi, even though Sinatra has clearly been trained that she's not going to fail a lie detector test. Like, all of it doesn't really compute.
No, and the fact that she was talking privately with Carmen, but is still talking in code. I mean, we saw her glance at that photograph that was left there by the doctor. That I was just like, I think Sinatra knows that there's a possibility that there's something going on with this photo. So let's talk in code. Because who's talking in code when you're by yourself?
It's a very, very good
With
question.
the one person that actually knows what's going on, it felt kind of weird.
I really hope that's it. And I
I
really
hope so
hope
too.
that through a lot of Paradise season 2, a lot of these pieces are going to come together and we're going to be met with something that makes us feel like, okay, I understand why they did these episodes these way. Maybe this whole time travel thing, it could be a misdirect, but it may actually lead to some other answer as to how to help this world out.
I hope so. No time travel, please. That is a wet fart. I am not interested in this whatsoever.
No, but that's where we are coming out of these first few episodes of Paradise Season 2. Let us know, thumbs up or thumbs down on the time travel. What do you think, Alex is? Who is it? Share your thoughts, your theories. Hit that subscribe button and help celebrate Jess's birthday by following us on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We are very
Thank
grateful
you.
to those of you who do, and we will see you here next time.